Morning, good morning. Welcome to You Are Your Brand, where I am your host, Felicia Shakespeare. I am so excited to see you virtually today because I know you're out there, right? So happy to be here and to be a part of the very first and only purpose driven woman network right here on She Is Still Dope TV. So thank you for tuning in today. I want to take the time to just once again let you know how to stay engaged. We are here every Thursday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for You Are Your Brand, where our focus is talking about personal development and professional development, and sometimes entrepreneurial topics as well, as it relates to how to grow in your personal brand, right? What did we learn a few weeks back? We are always representing ourselves. That's really what a brand is. It's not just the aesthetics of what we want it to appear to be, but really we are the foundation, right? As in all that we bring to the table, all of who we are, all of who we become, right? That is a personal brand, right? So once again, clearly all the other pieces are important. All of the other components play a role, but where we have to always start at what? The first step. We always have to start at what? The foundation. You never see a building built without setting the foundation. Even as I think about how the idea of You Are Your Brand came to be, You Are Your Brand. And the subtitle, I don't always say it all the time, but it is building from the inside out. So even as I thought about how that came to be, even just a topic at that time was about how we have to have our lives built on a firm foundation, right? So even if I think of right now, the most beautiful idea of, let's say, a skyscraper or an idea or a vision of where I want my life to be, it all has to what? It starts with a foundation. So that's what this show is about. It's about helping you, once again, ensure that your foundation is sure. And once again, we are always a work in progress. But once again, if you're moving forward, that's exactly where you're supposed to be. So thank you again for tuning in. Today, I want to speak about the topic. I know we're right in summer. So what was really, I've been kind of focused on, of course, key ways to leverage your personal brand. That's been the main topic. But today, it's not that we're veering off, but I want to kind of talk more about what I would consider to be work-life balance, and how that is key to your personal brand success. Even as we're in the summer months, and even myself, I was just reflecting on the fact that I usually consider July a time where I have to reset, right, and reboot. Why? Because I've been all year just pushing and pushing, throughout I would say the school year and just life in general. It's like when I get to July, it's just something about getting to July that makes me calm. But then I begin to think about the fact that, I can't wait until July, right? It has to be a balance well before July, because why? If you only took time once a year to fully reset and regroup and be in a place, body, mind, and spirit that you're supposed to be, then it's going to probably be some deficiencies. So as I was thinking about that, I said, you know what, let's talk about that today. Let's talk about work-life balance. So there's just a few things that I want to emphasize. And I have my notes here, so bear with me. So what does personal success look like, right? All of us, have a definition, an idea of what success is for us, right? And that's the one thing I can say, even as you develop as an individual and as you grow just as a person, the one point that you will come to realize is your definition of success will be like no one else's, right? What's success for you is not necessarily the requirement for success in someone else's life, but at the same time, it's not that it's something wrong or right about it. It's just a matter of the shoes you're wearing. Right? It's just as simple, right? We all have different responsibilities, and we just all have different skill sets and things we want to achieve in life and goals. So ultimately, my success will never look just like yours. But there are some key principles, right? That regardless of what your goals are and what you're striving to be and become, that you have to implement. So one thing I was thinking about today was, going to the next level, what that requires. So as we think about our body, as I said, it's the summertime, everybody's out, depending on where you are in the country, you're having this warm weather, you're just taking in all the beauty of nature. But what is it so important about our body? We have to reset our body, right? We only get one body. And I think sometimes, even as particularly women, being on a women's network, I think we have to always be intentional about remembering the fact that we are human. Everybody say that we are human, right? And because we go and go and go, sometimes that component of, once again, living, we're talking about what? Work-life balance today, right? A balance and how that's key to your personal success. In order to maintain even your health, how we treat our body on a daily basis is critical. I was just thinking about the fact that how our bodies require a certain amount of rest. I've been hearing that more and more, just to reset. Even how when we sleep at night, our body is being healed, if we get the proper amount of sleep. And I'm going to be the first one to tell you, I have to work on that, and you have to work on that, right? I'm sure there's something you can work on. And when I say that, as in either the amount of time you're actually taking to rest this body, or the way or methodology. So which one is it for you? You just have to decide. So what do I mean by the amount of time? Are you getting a full night's sleep? Or are you just kind of up and down and all around? And the other aspect of how are you taking your rest? Even the word of God, I've talked about the day of the Sabbath, right? Many times, even on the Sabbath day, some people are still doing all types of things. We're on technology. We're not taking the time to really, be present. And that's really critical, right? We have to be present, right? One form of success is understanding how to listen, and understand the season that you're in the moment, the assignment. So how, even if I have a client, right? How will I really be able to successfully serve that client if my body is out of whack, right? I haven't got enough sleep. We know even the way we think, is impacted by the amount of rest or lack thereof. So that's the first key I was thinking about that I want to share with you today, about just the fact that we have to reset. So even in this time, of July, I call it my semi-sabbatical, because unfortunately, I'm not all the way unplugged. Although, but I do choose to be unplugged to an extent, and it always excites me. And why not have that excitement though all year round, right? We have to get a pattern, right? And I'm going to get to that too, some of the actual tips, but actually a regimen. That's the word I want to use. A regimen in order to maintain our body. Even the factor of health and wellness. Like I say, I'm not a nutritionist, but there are some basic things. Like I said, proper rest. All of this is impacting what? Your personal brand. Because if I'm not in the best place physically, what's going to happen? I may be ill if I'm not eating properly. And like I said, even something as simple as rest, I can't think as clearly if I'm not well rested in my mind, right? Our minds are running and running and running because we don't cut the devices off and we're on it. So that is the first point I want to talk about, and clarify that, the proper aspect of rest. And of course, the second area, our mind. I was just thinking about, even right now, how certain things, because I'm now coming off of this busy time and season of just going. How certain things will trigger our mind, right? And all of us, right? We have certain things that can trigger us. But what do we want to focus on? We want to focus on how to minimize, right, those things. Because at the end of the day, once again, as a personal brand, or it's just as a person, you have triggers. You're a human being. And once you identify those things that trigger you, you're going to have to really be intentional about how you even approach the mindset that you have. So what do we need to do? Even this week, I was just recommitting myself to prayer, recommitting myself to, okay, how am I starting my day? So mentally, I have a colleague I know And he has this whole regimen on it's critical how you start your day. And I know we hear it, but this is just kind of a reminder today to practice the things that will lead us to what the keys to a balanced life and success. So back to the point of prayer, meditation, meditating. What are you reading? What are you putting in your mind? What are you allowing to be at the forefront of your mind? Even throughout the day. It's how we start, and it's also how you finish, right? It's how you start, what's happening in between, and how you finish. A lot of times we're hearing people discuss, how they're keeping away negative energy and all those things that will come to distract us. So if you are not well rested, then of course those are the things that you can't necessarily brace for. But if you are, number one, well rested in your body, now that's going to immediately impact the clarity of your mind. And what's something else they always say, even the aspect of organization, right? Our personal brand, how we're organized is critical. Even right now I'm in the midst of relocating, and it has been a journey, and I'm determined to just clear out as many things that I don't need anymore, right? Sometimes we're just holding on to things, right? Even in our minds, we got to clear the clutter. We got to make space for the new, right? And I want you to even think about that, even in your mind, right? If you don't get out the old, you can't make room for the new. It's just, even we know it's first natural, right? It's first with our everyday living, and that trickles over to our spiritual lives, right? First natural, then spiritual. If I want to make room for more, I have to clear the clutter, right? I have to clear out the thoughts, even like I said, it's not always, one component of it could be, as I was stating, what you're internalizing, but the other component is also what you are choosing to what you're choosing to do, what you are choosing, even if I just make it just that simple. What are you choosing? What are you choosing to allow inside your thought process? All of that is building on something, right? It's creating a mindset. I know, and I'll never forget, years and years and years ago, when I was first, a new believer, the first thing, when you're on this journey, you're on this path, and that's the wonderful thing about, as I said, she is still dope. We could talk about the Lord and throw that in there. It's always a part of, right? It's always a part of what we're going to talk about, because that's our foundation, right? But I was just thinking about how one thing that was always brought to me was, or one particular thing that was brought to me was about mindset. And I didn't understand what a mindset is. Sometimes, in spiritual terms, you hear the word stronghold. So when you hear those terms, really it's talking about the way you think. And many times that's the issue. How we think, how we see things is critical. So once again, we're talking about work-life balance is key to personal success. And as we've already stated, I've already stated about the body and now the mind. Those are critical pieces, how we meditate and how we pray. Then of course, the third is the soul, the spirit. What you feed your spirit is what you internalize. I always talk about, we hear body, mind, spirit, but what we feed our spirit is critical. And I see that, because of course our thoughts are going in our head, but of course what we internalize. And when I say, so think of it as what you choose to keep, near and dear to you. The things you choose to meditate on and maintain, like the things that you're not letting go. That's what you're internalizing, and that's what's impacting what your spiritual being, right? We are spirit beings, right? We're made. We have a body, we have a mind, and we have a soul, and it's so critical. Once again, the things that we choose to allow to be fed into our spirit. That's why. What I love about society now, it's not just quote unquote on a Sunday that you have to wait to feed your spirit. It's so much out here. The technology has just set the game high, set the bar high. You can get a sermon any given day of the week. You can go back and get the recap of most ministries, whoever you're following, whether it be for spiritual purposes. But once again, everything we're putting in our spirit and internalizing, whether it's through ministry, um, as in through listening to shows and following ministries, or even the things we're doing, whether we're following someone that's motivational for us, all of that is being internalized in our spirit. So it's so critical, in this season that we're in the summertime, we're in the space to reset and regroup and even for me, I came up for me today, restructure, right? There's some things you're going to have to restructure because why? The foundation is not proper. The foundation is not strong. It's not going to stand, but if you choose to restructure, reset, regroup, once again, your body, your mind, your spirit, you're going to be successful. And we have to balance all those things out. So what does it take? It takes what? A regimen. What is regimen? When we're consistently, it's not just consistency, but it's having a plan, right? And being consistent with that plan, right? A regimen. I was listening to a show one, I think over the weekend or earlier this week, and this individual talked about how they have their phone and how they literally have it on a timer for every single thing. And I began to think, you know what? That may sound a little. She says she's OCD, but when you really think about the aspect of how valuable time is, and you don't get it back, we have to be very intentional with our regimen and how we're spending our time and our day. Right, that's going to be key to your personal success. Why? Because the things you're giving your attention to is what's going to grow. Right? And the things that you're not giving attention to, they're not going to grow properly. The other aspect of this I wanted to share, is also getting help where you need it. Let's just keep it real. No one is a master at everything, right? This, I'm hopeful that, you're going to bring get some resources and some strategies, as you continue to watch the show. But of course, I'm not the only show on She Is Still Dope. You have shows focused on your finances, shows focused on your social media. So you have to kind of do what you need to do to get help in whatever area, right? So you can flourish, right, in your body, mind, and spirit. So if you need help, right, and that's what I love about it too. All of what's being presented here is to help you, right? There's a form of self-help. And then some of us actually have to go, we're at a stage where we need additional help. It's nothing wrong. Let's go back to mind, body, and spirit. That's why we have individuals that are trained professionally, in these areas. So if you are struggling, with your mental health, maybe outside of prayer and meditation, maybe you're going to have to seek some additional support. It's nothing wrong with that because it's time and it's also critical for you and your personal development and personal success. As I said, there's so many resources, but what does even that bring? That brings the level of accountability. Some of us are able to do it and keep it going, in some areas. So like I said, maybe when it comes down to affairs of finance, you don't have that struggle. But maybe when it comes down to affairs of health and wellness, you have that struggle. We just have to be real with ourselves. And maybe that's the area that you're going to have to amp up, right? Because we're in it to win it. We are on the path to success. And like, as I said it before, each one of our paths is leading us individually. And guess what? Ultimately, collectively, because no one's an island. And that's what I love about the aspect of accountability. That makes you know that, number one, you're not alone. Number two, you can receive the encouragement and the support in an area that you need it the most, okay? And lastly, the last point I want to make about, there is a difference between consistent and committed, right? There is a difference between consistency and committed, but you're going to have to become what? Committed. You could type that or say that or write that down. So committed. What is commitment? A commitment is a little more involved. I see commitment as what? An agreement, right? A state of the heart. I could consistently do something, but that doesn't mean I'm committed, right? Or because sometimes who's ever seen somebody do something out of duty, right? It was their heart wasn't in it, if I could just use that terminology. But for you to, once again, experience work-life balance and success in the way that you should, it's going to take a level of commitment to all the areas I spoke of today. Because why? We are complex. Even as a person, we're all uniquely made. We're fearfully and wonderfully made. We're not just unique. We're so unique that our DNA is like no one else's. And even the path, we've talked about that before, and the path that and the journey that you're on, guess what? You have a path to fulfill, and you have to come with it, right? You have to go to the next level. So that's what I love. We're all on this journey. Even on the show, we want to get you to the next level. That's really what the purpose is for You Are Your Brand. Let's talk. So as a final recap, I just want to make sure for our work-life balance is key to personal success talk today, that we emphasize the 3 areas of regimen. For your body, mind, and spirit, you're going to have to make sure you have a regimen and be consistent to that. But on top of the regimen, you also want to make sure you are seeking and getting the help, whether it be self-help or utilizing what's available to you, taking the necessary steps towards becoming whole and better, just becoming better, right? That's what personal development is. We talked about that before in one of the sessions. It's all about becoming better. Who wants to be better, right? If you're on a road to success, you want to be better, right? You want to be a better person. You want to be a better wife, husband, a better daughter, a better co-worker, a better colleague, a better minister. No one is born perfect or so skilled in an area. It takes practice. It takes time. And through that process, right, of putting yourself through the regimen, right, seeking the help, whether it be self-help, whether it be seeking a professional in the area that you need. You might just need, you might need a finance coach, right? It's not all mental. Some people have no discipline and understanding on where to end and begin with their finances. So we're not just pinpointing one area, but it's up to you to pinpoint the area, right? You have to pinpoint the area. And the final thing, once again, after you have a regimen, you seek the help, whether it be yourself, discipline, getting the resources, signing up for the program, whatever, then you have to what? Commit to it. Not just commit, but commit means to do it with your whole heart. And I know that will lead you to a balanced life and a level of success. So I hope that you were able to take in some amazing content today on those areas. That was what was on my heart today, to just really think about, like I said, the fact that we are in this to win this, and as we think about society and all that's happening in the world around us, sometimes it can get really noisy, and of course, we're all facing things at different times. I mean, we're facing something every day. If people got on to just share the challenges, but yet we can't forget the triumphs, right? We can't lose sight of the goal and the vision that we have for our lives. So even, just being here today, it's wonderful. It's a goal. It's a dream come true. I'll put it like that. Although it was not necessarily the time, but the goal, and ultimately this opportunity has allowed, me to be here with you today. And I just thank God for that. I begin to just really thank God. We want to take everything we do on a daily basis. We want to be so intentional about knowing that what we're doing is impacting someone in some capacity. You are your brand, right? You are your brand. You are your brand. So as I close out today, I just want to remind you, first and foremost, there is a book, You Are Your Brand, Build It From the Inside Out. If you ever would like to make the purchase, to pick up a copy of it, you could go to my website, FeliciaShakespeare.com. Also, it is available wherever books are sold. Amazon, if you would prefer an ebook. As we're in our summer season, there's some books I'm reading. I'm probably going to even reread my own book, because it is some good stuff in there. But at the end of the day, it's all about what? Reminding ourselves and staying clear. Back to what I said, what we meditate on, what we put in our spirit All of that matters. So this is a great time when individuals are reading and listening, right? Listening. Maybe you are an audio person, Also, there are podcasts. I have a podcast too, a Purpose Driven Woman podcast. But outside of the listening, the reading, once again, the environments you're putting yourselves in, just take this time to restore your soul, restore your spirit. Go for a walk. Wow, I wish I lived in a part of the country where it was warm all the time, but we have to take advantage of these times, right? So enjoy the nature. Get out and just sit and reset and think about these points that were made today. So once again, to stay in touch with me, once again, my website is FeliciaShakespeare.com. Also, you can follow me on Instagram at Felicia Shakespeare. And also, if you are a Twitter person, I am also available and can be reached at I am Felicia S on Twitter. So once again, I thank you so much for tuning in to today's show. Once again, let me know in the comments. Let me know. You can write me via email. Let me know if there's anything I could do to support you, and if there's something that was a great takeaway for you today. So thank you again for being with me. And until next week, once again, every Thursday morning at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. We're right here for You Are Your Brand. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.